Hello beautiful people, I am Uncle Fidget. Completing Pokemon Platinum with only barrels, using nothing but HM moves, was ridiculous. So let's try something that should hopefully be a bit easier, as we find out if you can beat Pokemon HeartGold with only one HM slave. Unlike in the second generation, we won't be stuck using Mew for this run, as although the number of HMs needed to beat the game actually increased, seeing as you also now need Rock Climb on top of the previous 6, there is one other Pokemon who can learn them all now. That is Feraligatr. As the final evolved form of a starter, Feraligatr's stats are only 70 base points below that of Mew's, but the difficulty level was increased in the Johto remakes, so it will be interesting to see how this balances out. Just like my previous runs, I'll only be allowed to use Feraligatr, and will have to load them up with every HM I require along the way. To make it more difficult, once I learn the HMs, I will only be allowed to use those moves. I can't use items in battle, but held items and items outside of battle are fine. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a comment predicting how high of a level I'll have to beat Red. I used the universal randomizer Oh, no I didn't. I just picked Totodile. I guess that still means our rival starter will be super effective against us to make the challenge even harder. I named my Pokemon Cheeks, after this back sprite of Feraligatr. After pottering around for Elm for a bit, I have our first run-in with our rival. He fails to realise that you need to attack in order to win battles, so we deal with him easily. Then we go and give him his usual name of Geo Jr. and proceed to Violet City. This is where we run into our first major change in this run versus our Crystal playthrough. You see, unlike in Gen 2, I no longer have to wait until after Sudowoodo to get Rock Smash, and can actually go pick it up right away. This means I have it before the first gym, but it also means that according to the rule set, I have to teach it to Cheeks, and only use it from here on. But as a Totodile, he can't learn Rock Smash yet, so I have to grind on a bunch of wild Pokemon in order to evolve him into Croconaw, just so that I can teach him this move, and face Falkner. Needless to say, this battle was incredibly easy, given the normal and flying types take neutral damage from fighting moves, and Falkner's Pidgeotto didn't even bother roosting to waste time, so we're able to move on without any stress. We get a call from Professor Elm to take back the egg we gave him, and outside the Pokemart I'm approached by a lady in a kimono, who tells me the egg is very important and that I must take good care of it. So of course I dump it in a PC where no harm can come to it. I'm sure that's what she meant. We go to deal with Team Rocket in the Slowpoke well, and lucky for us, due to Croconaw's strength and our level in general, we don't get walled quite as hard as I did in my Platinum run by the Zubat. That's not to say that Azalea Town doesn't offer up a bunch of problems for us, because it definitely does. I have two options. Fight our rival, who starts with a Ghastly, and I'll need to use Struggle to get past him, with all the difficulties that presents in Gen 4 due to it taking a quarter of my health each time I attack, and him having 3 Pokemon. Or we go and fight Bugsy, whose Scyther is 4 times resistant to Rock Smash. After running the calculations, I found out the easier of the two options is actually struggling against our rival. But in order to take out all of his Pokemon in 4 hits, I need to be level 31 and evolved into Feraligatr. So that's final form starter before the second badge. Definitely didn't see this being necessary before I started this run. At this point you might be thinking, "But Fidget, if you attack 4 times then you'll knock yourself out." Well my friends, that's where a little item called the Shell Bell comes in. It's not super impressive, only restoring a little health each time you do damage, but it is exactly what I need to make this possible. So between that and our rival's Bayleaf missing his poison powder, we're able to beat him to progress to Eternum Forest, where we can get cut. With this, we can double back to fight Bugsy, now that his Scyther will actually take damage from our attacks. At this level, his Scyther will go down in 2 hits, even with his Berry, and lucky for us, he just uses non-attacking moves, so even though we miss one of our attacks, we finish him off without taking damage. Then as you can imagine, his Metapod and Kakuna don't really give us any grief, so we beat Bugsy without much hassle. On our way through Eternum Forest, we meet another kimono girl, who apparently can't see the exit that is literally to her left. So Cheek shows her how foolish she's being, and she thanks us. If you've ever complained about Whitney before, you've clearly just not been trying hard enough, as I was able to take out her Clefairy in 1 Rock Smash and her Miltank in just 2. You bunch of big babies. Just use a Feraligatr that's 14 levels higher than our strongest Pokemon. It's not hard. Speaking of not hard, the battle with the Kimono Girls in this game has been replaced with a single Team Rocket member, who gets absolutely decimated, which impresses an old-timer so much so that he gives us Surf. We're forced to go face our rival in the Burn Tower before fighting Morty, and now that we have Surf, it's much easier. Ghastly goes down in 1 hit, and despite Bayleaf using Reflect to raise his team's bulk, he still hasn't grasped the idea of using attacking moves. So we finish off the rest of his Pokemon without taking damage. Morty doesn't offer us much more challenge. Apart from his Gengar, all of his Pokemon go down in a single hit. Unfortunately for him, his Gengar's Citrus Berry heals it out of range of Morty using a potion, so although we take a Shadow Ball, there's not really a lot I can say about this gym. They changed the person who gives you strength in this remake, so after I trekked all the way to Olivine City, I then had to double back to Ecruteak to head east and receive it from this hiker. Next on my hit list is Chuck. After Primeape goes down in one surf, his Poliwrath can actually take a hit. Strength only does around 1/3 damage, which means after his Citrus Berry procs, Chuck will inevitably potion next turn. Honestly though, as he just keeps attempting to use Focus Punch, I don't really need to worry. Especially as for some reason I high roll my next 2 attacks to take him down in 2 hits. Didn't even know that was a possibility. Outside the gym, we're gifted the HM for Fly, but for some reason Feraligatr can't learn it. It's just ridiculous. Once we surf back to Olivine, we take on Jasmine, whose Pokemon all go down in a single surf. I swear guys, this challenge will become challenging at some point. It will. Just wait. Though, it's certainly not going to be while storming Team Rocket's hideout. This Giovanni wannabe has nothing on his old Mafia boss, as all of his Pokemon get OHKO'd. But we're not here for hard battles, we just want Whirlpool from Lance. With that out of the way, we can take on Price. Seal manages to hang on with a sliver of health, but sets up the hail so takes himself out. Piloswine is weak to water so falls in one surf, and although Dugong takes 2 strengths, his Aurora Beam is far from threatening. Before I'm allowed to progress any further, I have to go play Dress Up, in order to infiltrate the radio tower that Team Rocket has taken over. But before we get too far, Geo Jr. shows up and gets jealous that Daddy never gave him a uniform, so blows our cover. The subsequent fight though takes no time at all, and then everyone just kinda gives up and lets us proceed. At the top of the tower we once again embarrass Petrol, who then gives us the key for the underground. Another Kimono girl appears and seems to think beating Team Rocket is evidence enough of our capabilities of meeting Ho-Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to meet a chicken with such low standards. We finally meet some semblance of a challenge when we're flagged down by Junior. Golbat hangs on from a strength, but his air cutter does very little, so we finish him off next turn. Meganium is out next, and strength would be a 2-shot, but he sets up a Reflect, and then uses Synthesis for a few turns until he's in green health, then switches to Petal Dance. With Reflect still up, we're taking more damage than we can dish out, but the moment it drops, so too does Meganium. We're then fortunately able to take out Magnemite, Haunter, and Sneasel in a single attack, so we take the win. I then defeat Proton, Junior's mum, and Archer to free the radio tower from Team Rocket's control, allowing me to progress to Blackthorn City. On the way through the ice path, I pick up the HM for Waterfall, before freeing another Kimono girl, who somehow got stuck to slippery ice, and finally can take on Claire. Now reaching the part of the game I would consider actually challenging. After a number of attempts, we get this run. First out is Gyarados, whose Intimidate cuts our attack, but we're able to bypass that with a crit to take it out in a single strength. Her first Dragonair then takes 2 strengths to go down, and usually uses Thunder Wave, but instead just uses Dragon Pulse before falling. Her next Dragonair unfortunately uses Thunder Wave, slowing us down, which means she's able to get in another Dragon Pulse before we can move on to her Kingdra. We trade a few blows, me using Strength, her using Dragon Pulse, and after her Berry activates, she takes us down to only 10 HP, and we need another hit in order to finish her off. It looks like we're about to lose, but for some reason she switches to Hydro Pump, which misses, so thanks to her stupidity, I can claim victory. Of course though, Claire is a sore loser, so won't give me my badge until I head into the Dragon's Den. This requires us to visit our old friend the Move Deleter in order to swap Cut for Whirlpool. Then after answering a few questions, Claire admits that we beat her fair and square, so once I go back to the Move Deleter and replace Whirlpool with Waterfall, we can head off to the Pokemon League. Or at least I would be able to, if I wasn't forced to go and meet the Kimono girls who want to prove my worthiness of meeting Ho-Oh. I thought I'd already done that by beating Team Rocket. Apparently not. Once I've wrecked each of their evolutions, they introduce me to the Chicken of Legend. So majestic. So majestic. Majestic. That is a big bird. I drown it in a single waterfall and leave the Kimono girl speechless. Right, now on to the Pokemon League. Oh, but of course, we've got to deal with Junior one last time. Sneasel is a joke, and one Rock Smash is enough to put him down. Meganium starts its nonsense with Reflect, cutting our attack power. He then starts using Synthesis until he's back in green health before, for the first time in this playthrough, actually landing Poison Powder. Reflect falls next turn, so after we take a Petal Dance, we're able to get past Meganium, though after Poison we're only on 40 HP. If not for the fact that I'm still holding the Shell Bell, I would lose this fight, but I'm healing just enough after one-shotting each of his Pokemon that I'm able to win this fight with just 2 HP remaining. Right, Elite Four. Will's up first with his Xatu. Unfortunately for him, his Xatu and Jinx go down in a single hit. Exeggutor though is a different matter. It takes around half damage from her strength, but then sets up a reflect. I tried still going for strength, doing about half of her remaining health, and she misses a hypnosis. Will though drops a full restore, so we have to start willing Exeggutor down again. I get her down to a quarter of her health, taking just one psychic, but then she lands a hypnosis, just as reflect wears off. Cheeks wakes up after one turn, however, to finish off Exeggutor. Slowbo... What's a Slowbo? Slowbro is naturally bulky, so strength only does around 1/3 of her health, and to make things worse, she keeps using Curse. So I attack on the special side with Surf to put her down. Will's final Xatu hangs on from a waterfall, but its berry keeps it out of full restore range, so we're able to take the win next turn. Koga is such a non-threat that I didn't even bother healing before fighting him. Ariados goes down in one waterfall, and Fortress, even with its high defense stat, only takes 2 after it starts messing around with Protect. Muck falls in 2 surfs as its minimized doesn't help him, and Venomoth gets squished with a critical hit. Crobat is more annoying than anything, going for double team over and over, making us consistently miss. Though its damage output is so pitiful that it's just a matter of rolling the dice enough times until we're able to end the fight. Bruno has always been one of the easiest Elite Four members, so once again I didn't even heal. A waterfall leaves him on top with the tiniest amount of health, and he... Oh. Just ignore that. Bruno is known to be a threat on occasion, so I ensured to heal before this fight. We use Surf against Hitmontop as he starts wasting time with Dig. When he surfaces, I think Rock Smash should be just enough to finish him off, but Bruno full restores. Not to worry though, as Surf next turn finishes him off. Hitmonchan takes 2 Surfs, allowing him to land a Thunder Punch, that I really feel should have done more. Hitmonlee gets in a Swagger before going down, but that proves to be more detrimental than helpful to him, as I switch to Waterfall from a champ and OHKO him. Then with Onyx, I just use Rock Smash until he faints. I was trying to reserve as much PP as possible for Karen, though I really needn't have bothered as I just ended up using a Max Ether anyway. I use Rock Smash against Umbreon and get the defense drop, which allows me to take it out next turn with a Waterfall. Vileplume can be quite threatening, but as she misses her Sunspore, she goes down without landing an attack. Gengar then falls to a critical Waterfall, and obviously Houndoom can't stand up to any of our water moves. Murkrow is last out, but she too faints after just one Waterfall. That just leaves Lance. And as always seems to be the case in these challenge runs, despite having defeated the Elite Four, I'm just not at a high enough level to take on the champion. So, 12 levels later, we finally stand a chance. Gyarados is out first to cut our attack. Due to this, he manages to barely hang on from 2 strengths, allowing Lance to use a full restore. But thanks to a lucky crit, we finish him off next turn. His first Dragonite comes out, and Surf really isn't doing a lot of damage, but it's still our best option under the circumstances. Then, as usual, we get struck with a Thunder Wave, but by the grace of Arceus, Dragonite never lands a Thunder on us. So although we do take a critical Hyper Beam before taking him down, it's not as bad as it could have been. His second Dragonite strikes us with a Dragon Rush before falling to another critical hit. Aerodactyl doesn't do too much damage with Thunderfang, but initially gets a flinch, so we take 2 hits before we get to move on to his final Dragonite. He uses Safeguard right off the bat, essentially giving us a free turn before he locks himself into Outrage. Our Surf leaves him with like 1 HP, allowing his Citrus Berry to proc and him to hit us again with another Outrage, leaving us with only 12 health until the Shell Bell heals us up to 17. This surely isn't enough to withstand Charizard's Flamethrower. But, incredulously, he goes for a Dragon Claw, leaving us with a single point of health and allowing us to finally beat Lance. Though the credits roll, you know full well we have another region to complete. Though, as usual, most of the gym leaders aren't worth mentioning, so I'll skip to the one you care about. Oh, but first, I need to revisit the move deleter to swap Rock Smash for Cut. Now for the battle with Blue. He obviously saw my big alligator tracing behind me, so starts off with Exeggutor. I use Strength, doing over half his health, before he uses Trick Room to make it so he can move first. He then lands a Hypnosis, allowing him to get in 2 Psychics before we wake up and finish him off. Next out is Rhydon, and as the dimensions are still twisted, we get nailed by a Stone Edge before we can put him down. After that, the dimensions return to normal, allowing us to outspeed and OHKO Machamp and Arcanine. Pidgeot just manages to hang on, but his return does very little. Blue must not be very friendly to his Pokémon. Last out is Gyarados, and I'm so glad he didn't start with this Pokémon. With our attack cut, I go for Surf, and 2 hits get him into red health, as Gyarados starts Dragon Dancing. Blue pops the full restore, meaning we have to attack twice more to get him into red health, and now that Gyarados outspeeds us, we get hit with a return. Blue then uses another full restore, and to save you time, I'll just let you know, he uses one again once I get him into red health. Despite all of his Dragon Dances though, when he does choose to attack us, it doesn't do nearly enough damage, so we eventually take the victory. That means it's time for red. This being a 4th gen game though, we can't possibly go scaling a mountain without the HM rock climb, which we grab from Professor Oak, trek back to Blackthorn City to forget Cut, and then reach red at level 96. I figured it probably wouldn't be necessary to get those last 4 levels, right? Wrong. Red has been souped up in this generation, and it seemed no matter what I did, I couldn't even come close to victory. So here's our stats at level 100 in case you were interested. Honestly, I did this fight so many times that I actually stopped having fun. That didn't even happen in my Barbaro run. If you're wondering why I didn't use a better item like leftovers to help me out, well, the only way to get it in this game is by catching Snorlax, or using a move like Thief on it. But according to the rules I set for myself, I can't do either. Don't forget, this isn't about only using one Pokemon battle. It's about completing the game in its entirety, having only ever had one Pokemon. So the Shell Bell is still my best option. I started wondering if this was even possible. But then, Pikachu is a one-shot with Surf, which we use to avoid the effects of static. Venusaur is out next, and we get an amazing crit with Rock Climb. And to make things even better, he gets confused and hits himself, which means when the hail kicks in at the end of the turn, Venusaur goes down, so our biggest threat is dealt with. But the fight is far from over. Blastoise is next, and I have to swap to Strength. It's not worth risking Rock Climb missing. We get rocked by a Focus Blast, which would usually spell the end for us, but I chose to keep going regardless. He misses his next Focus Blast, so we should have been able to take him out next turn, but he's apparently just in full restore range. When he next attacks though, he misses again, so we're able to take him out without taking any more damage. Snorlax is up, and usually if he uses anything other than Crunch, we lose. But in a miraculous turn of events, Cheeks hits a waterfall and flinches him. Twice, meaning that the hail finishes Snorlax and we proceed to Lapras. Strength is doing such little damage that I'm still not convinced we can win. We don't have any chip from hail to help us in this one. Psychic is doing huge damage to us, but after taking 2 hits, we managed to hang on and take Lapras out. That means all that's left is Charizard, who can't stand up to one waterfall, and with that, I win. Take that, Red, you stupid, grindy son of a Bidoof! I know I've said this already, but I feel I need to re-emphasize this. I genuinely did not think that was possible. Who'd have thought my hardest challenge to date would be in the Johto region with a starter Pokemon? I need a break from these HM solo runs for a bit. I think I might look at completing the games with the Pikachu clones in the upcoming weeks. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and that you look forward to more videos just like it. Until then, I'll catch you later. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, do all the YouTube things, and I shall see you on the next episode.